Hi everyone, I'm Janelle with Toons Unlimited, and this is part 2 of my playlist series on how to make a male G2 character face. So stay tuned because this video is coming up next. ToonsUnlimited.com. Okay, so in the last video, we sketched out some male G2 character faces, and I chose this one here to convert into a G2 10 angle face. So I'm going to start off by first selecting this character, and I'm going to make a copy of it, and on a new document, I'm going to paste this file and move it to the corner. And we're going to do some resizing to adjust his face to the size of a normal G2 character face. And I forgot to state, but my document size for this new document file is 2000 by 2000. And that's usually a size that let me get all 10 of my angles of a full length character into one place. And so that's usually my standard file size that I use when I'm creating my characters. Okay, so now that we have the face in place, I'm going to go ahead and knock the opacity down to 50% again so we can see through it, and lock the first layer. And I'm going to start creating layers for the facial body parts. So the first layer will be the face layer. And now I'm going to just make a few more layers, and I'm going to rename them for the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the left ear and right ear, the front hair, and the back hair. And then I'm going to create a folder, and that folder will be called the 0° angle. And I'm going to dump all of those layers inside of that folder. Now that we have our layers in place, I'm going to go ahead and redirect my focus to starting off by drawing a face. And for the face, I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And there's options for making the rectangle tool edges rounder. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that I link the corners so that all of them are equally the same when I'm rounding it off. And then I'm going to play around with the dial until I get to a shape that I feel is comfortable, that I feel fits my character's outline of his face. So now that I found one, I'm going to go ahead and draw an outline directly over his face, and we're going to delete the fill for now. So one of the things that you should be concerned with is the width of your line work. And although I convert all of my lines to fills, I always try to maintain a similar thickness. And I've found that the characters will import and look better if you either have them at 2 or 3. And so for this one, a thickness of 3 looks good, and that's what I'm going to try to maintain throughout the drawing process for this character face. All right, so we have the face done. Everything's in place. So now I'm going to go ahead and go up and lock this layer, and we're going to move over to the eyes. Now for the eyes, we're going to use the circle, using the circle tool, and I'm going to map out the eye. Actually, I'm going to zoom in a little and redraw the shape so that I can make it look similar to my drawing, about right there. And let's go ahead and take the fill out. And what we will do is make a copy, paste in place, and slide it over. Actually, what I'm going to do real quick is bring up the ruler, because I want to make sure this is right in the middle. And the best way to do that is to click on the object that you're trying to to use. Let me unlock this real quick. So let me select the face, and if you select Q on your keyboard, that it will put a dot right in the middle. It's the transform tool. I can then drag over my guide and I can put it right in the middle so I know exactly where I'm working with. And now that I have this right in the center, I'm going to go up and I'm going to draw another guide, and that will be my guide for my eye guide. So I'm going to have that right here. And so now I'm going to go back, lock the face again, copy, paste, maybe right there. Okay, so the eyes are done. So we're going to move over to the nose, and I'm going to lock the eye layer and then select the nose layer. And I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to try to do this character with no um, drawing pad. So with the line tool selected, I'm just going to go ahead and create some points. One more about right here. And using the select tool, I'm going to just kind of bend these to form the shape that I want. Okay, so I'm going to hold the Alt button and I'm going to bring this up just a little bit, about right there. And now I can make a copy of this, paste in place, flip it, and move it over to the other side. All right, so we have the face, the eyes, the nose. And so now I'm going to go up and I'm going to lock this layer because we're going to move over to the mouth. And for the mouth, it's very simplistic. So we're going to just take and make a straight line, and I'm going to give it a little bend. And we can check to make sure it's right in the center by selecting it and using our guides to nudge it over just a little bit so that it's nice and symmetrical. All right, so let's lock this layer down, and we're going to move over to the ears. And so for the ears, they're basically half a circle. So we're going to use the circle tool. And what I'm going to do is start with the left ear, and I'm just going to draw out a nice circle. It doesn't have to be even. If you want an even circle, hold down the shift button, but I want mine to be about this size, and we're going to go ahead and cut out the fill for it. And I'm going to select it so that I can make sure it's right in the center. I'm going to use my guide and put it about right there. And I'm only going to select half of the circle, and I'm going to delete it. And now I'm going to make a copy of that, and I'm going to go to the right ear layer and then paste in place, flip it, and I'm going to slide it over to the other side. Okay, so now we're going to lock those two layers for the ears, and we're going to move over to the head. And I'm going to go back to my line tool. And the goal is for this video to not really use my drawing tablet. I'm trying to do everything with a mouse because for beginners, a lot of people may not own a drawing tablet. But I'm going to use the line tool and just basically draw lines and then bend those lines to the shape that I want. Okay, and now that we have one side done, we're going to highlight it, copy, paste in place, flip it over, and move it to the other side, and it should line up perfectly. Okay, so we have a 0-degree face all ready to go. And now that we have the entire face intact, I can actually go ahead and get rid of that sketch layer. So I'm going to highlight layer 1 and just go ahead and delete it. Okay, so now it's time to work on the back angle. So what I'm going to do is scroll up here, select on my 0-degree angle, and I want to right click and make a duplicate of that layer. And we're going to rename that layer the 180-degree layer. Now, to make sure you don't get confused, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the 0-degree angle, and I'm going to expand the 180 folder and make sure everything is unlocked so I can press and hold the shift button and select all of the layers at once and slide it to separate them, because now we're going to focus on turning this into a 180-degree angle. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and one of the things we don't need is the eyes. We won't need the nose or the mouth. And we can start taking pieces of the hair away as well. So I'm going to select all of the hair that makes up the hairline. And so this is really the back hair. So what we're going to do is just highlight everything, cut it, paste it on the back hair layer, and then I can start to draw my line out to build out the rest of the back of his hair. Okay, let me delete that for just a second, because what I want to do is go back to the face layer so I can find the center of the face and put a guide up for my back angle like I did the front angle. Okay, so now I can go back to the back hair layer and select it, and now make sure it's centered. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a line from the back of the ear and connect it to the middle on both sides. And I'm going to readjust the top of the hairline to come down to the back of the ear as well. So it's a slight modification, but it looks better for this back angle. All right, so we have our front and back angle completed. And one thing I would like to do, I would like to make this character a little bit more rounder. So what I'm going to do is from the front angle, I'm going to pull his chin down and create like a slight double chin in the front, about right there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the back of the hair. I'm going to put a guide here so I know where to stop, and unlock the back layer and make the same modification. Okay, so the front and back angle is complete. For my next video, I will be working on the 315 angle and the 225 angle. So I took a little time to clean up the layers a little bit to show you how the character would look if it was all on one layer and looking more like a black and white character. And so you won't see the outline of the head and everything. This is basically how the front and back angle would look as a regular character without any color, to give you a better visual. But for the next video, I will go back to my layers and start to work on the 315 and the 225. Hey, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you would like to purchase any of my products, head over to my store where I sell characters, props, and scenes. Stay tuned for the next video, and take care.